Hi beauties, welcome back, or welcome if it's your first time. Always happy to have you. I want to film. I've been missing filming, and I know it's only been about a week, but I really have been missing it. And this is a video that I actually wanted to do when I saw the original tag, which has to have been about 2 months ago by now, but it was an eyeshadow palette tag that was originally posted by Angelica. She is a lovely Swedish YouTuber. She made this tag up. I just thought it was fun. Any excuse I can get for talking about eyeshadow, I will take. So let's just get into it. I need to film this video kind of quickly today. I do have an errand to run. Hopefully I don't have lipstick on my teeth. Anyway, so there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's about 8 tags or prompts in here. So let's just get into it. The first one is, it asked to pick out an eyeshadow palette that represented you as far as the color story is concerned. So first thing that popped into my mind was my ABH Jackie Aina palette. So I knew that I had to have a palette with purple. In case you've never seen it, this is what it looks like. But knew that I had to have a palette with purple. I am obsessed with purple. It's my favorite color in general, but also it's my absolute favorite color to wear on my eyes. I think purple eyeshadow on brown eyes is like next level beautiful. So, and this has some gorgeous purples. Both of the matte and the shimmer alike are stunning. But I also, just as I'm thinking about what I like in eyeshadow, I mean, I love purples. I love all variations of purples, whether it's violet, plum, lilac, fuchsia, whatever. Love it all. But forever and always at my core, I'm gonna be a neutral lover. I just am. It's what I feel most comfortable in, most confident in. So I like a palette to have a mix. And I actually feel like for the most part, this is a neutral palette. But even these neutral shades, like these mattes, are so rich and pigmented and delicious, and like all the shimmers are just, they're lovely. I love everything about this palette. This palette is just like, it's endlessly beautiful to me. The next prompt was this one was kind of hard. It was to pick a palette that represents you in terms of packaging. So packaging that sort of represents me. This was difficult. I don't know. I don't feel like I really have an aesthetic, I guess. I mean, I love jewelry. I love like big, gaudy, like costume jewelry. I love color. I love patterns, flowers. I mean, I love gold and rose gold, and I don't know. I don't really have, I guess, maybe like one thing that defines me. I don't know. Anyway, this was hard. So I went ahead and I went with both of my Give Me Glow rose palettes. I have both of the vintage and the vivid rose. Like I said, love flowers and I love gold. I have both of these actually on display in my room because I do think that the packaging is particularly beautiful. So yeah, this was the only thing I could really think of that, you know, I guess would represent me packaging wise, but that's it. The next prompt was to pick a palette in your collection that is representative of spring. So for me, this one was pretty easy. I went with the Sydney Grace Mel Thompson Tiny Marvels palette, actually for both the packaging and the color story alike. The packaging I think is just it's so cute. It is very representative of spring, just in the sense that, you know, there's grass and butterflies, and when I think of spring anyway, that's what I think of. I think of things like, I think of new life and, you know, flowers and plants and animals and all that type of stuff. So the packaging certainly was one of the reasons for this choice, but also like the color story. The color story is just, it's so representative of spring to me. I mean, you have these like beautiful earth tones, but you also have like, this is just like pure sunshine. And then you also have like these beautiful pastel pops of color that we all come to crave in the springtime. So this definitely is one for spring for me. Next, we have a palette that represents happy for you. This might seem kind of like a strange correlation to some people, but orange makes me happy. I actually probably could have went with any of the palettes from this collection. All of these Sweet Shop palettes are like super bright and fun and just like make me happy to look at. But orange in particular is a color, I mean, come on. How does that not just put a smile on your face? But yeah, this just like beyond making me happy when I look at this, orange in general is just a color that like reminds me of summertime and sunshine and like popsicles and going to the pool and just like summertime memories, and that makes me happy. So definitely had to go with the orange. Next is a palette that would be representative of sort of my dark grungy side, which I don't feel like I really even have, but for the sake of this video, I chose the Melt Mary Jane palette because if I am feeling like going for something, you know, dark, grungy, if I want to do like a really dark smoky eye or something, these are the tones that I'm gonna go for. I would never opt for a black smoky eye. It's just not something that's even like my style. But these tones I can definitely get down with. Like you can really create something dark and grungy and beautiful with this. So yeah, these are just the tones that I would feel comfortable in for a look like that. Next is a palette that represents the girly in me, which I know that these things are all, you know, there's no such thing as like girly or boyish, like I get that, but you know, for the sake of this, I went with the Paulina Blush Tribe palette. This palette is so beautiful. I mean, again, you have purples that I love, pinks. Pink isn't generally a color that I'm super drawn to in eyeshadow, but these are tones of pink that I can rock with. Like I'm not a huge fan of baby doll pinks really, but I like these tones. I love, like, after purple, green is my favorite like accent color to wear on my eyes. So this to me is just like, this is super like feminine and just fun to me. Speaking of fun, that was the next prompt, picking a palette that represents fun for you. Now look, this is what I'm picking. Every time that I show one of these palettes, I always have to remember to like separate Morphe and Jaclyn Hill from the equation. I'm just going off of like the merits of this palette alone, okay? So when I think of fun, honey, I think of like this palette is fun to use. Every single time I use this palette, even after all these years, I love the, okay. I love the looks I create. I have fun using this. Like I just do. I think the formula still stands up. The colors are still beautiful. It's fun to me. And beyond that, it just kind of like transports me back in time to like when, I don't know, like YouTube was just different and maybe I had a little bit more fun watching YouTube several years ago. Don't get me wrong, still love it. Still loving YouTube, but yeah, I mean, this just, I don't know. This just will always be, like a favorite of mine. The last prompt was to pick a palette that represents inspiration for you. Now, for me, it's the Sigma Corta Rosa, and this palette made its way into my top 5 palettes of 2020. And I'm just gonna kind of echo what I said in that video because the reasoning still remains. Like, when this palette came out April of 2020, and look, there was just a lot going on at that time, right? So when this palette came out, I just had it just was like a weird time, right? It was like everything in my life had been changed, all like just everything. And I know I'm not alone in that sense, but anyway, just wasn't like feeling right. Times were weird, whatever. It was a very anxious time. I wasn't like doing my makeup like I normally would to go to the office because I was working from home. But this palette came out and it's just, I just love it. Like every time I look at this, I want to create something. And every time I do create something, I love it. Like it's beautiful. I love all these tones. I love the shimmers. Like the Sigma formula is wonderful. So yeah, this palette is just inspiring to me. I love it. I love the way the tones look on me. So that's it. This will probably always be one of my favorites too. But that's it, you guys. That's all the prompts. And I know I kind of ran through those really fast, but you know, I don't always need to make a 30-minute video, but hopefully that was fun. Like I said, I love having any reason to talk about makeup, particularly eyeshadow. If you do this tag, I would love to see it. I like link your video down below, or just answer the prompts down below. I love talking about eyeshadow. I will of course link Angelica's video in the comments. Go and check her out. She's lovely. But if you've made it this far, as always, please like, please subscribe. It's free. I would love to have you stick around for more content. I would love to see you again. But until that happens, until next time, take care of yourselves and take care of each other, beauties.